6 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. The City Council meeting being April 13th, 2021. For the invocation, we have Reverend Karen Carlson.
Thank you, Mayor.
Stand for the invocation.
Mayor, City Council, brothers and sisters in Christ, as we shift gears today, may we be reminded that we pause to come before our Almighty God. So please bow your heads. Dear God, we've shown up here today to be intentional for whatever's on this agenda. And Lord, as we're ready to begin this meeting, we usher you in to lead this meeting. Lord, we're here on one accord to do our best to lead the city to be in one accord. So as these items that are listed on this two pieces of paper, front and back, we lift them up to you, and we ask that your grace and mercy be upon all discussions. We thank those that are here representing the items, the discussions, and I pray that your grace flows throughout this room. Continue to be our light, continue to be our armor, continue to be our God in this beautiful city that you've appointed each and every one of us to. In your Son, Jesus Christ's holy name, I pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Councilmember Willis will lead us both in the American pledge and Texas pledge.
Please join me in pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to you, Texas, one state, one God, one indivisible.
Everybody, please be seated.
So we have a proclamation we're going to present to the National Public Safety National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Shila. So we're going to read this off. You mind joining me? So the City of Odessa has this proclamation, whereas in an emergency our citizens depend on 911. And these dedicated men and women are professionals who use public safety telecommunications to quickly respond to emergency calls. And whereas our dedicated telecommunicators are truly the first to respond to a citizen's call for help, we rely on their knowledge and they make critical decisions, obtain information, and quickly dispatch needed aid. And whereas the professional of public safety telecommunicators is that vital link between the citizens or victims and the public safety provider, may apprehend a criminal, save their possession from fire, and save a life. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year, now, therefore, I have been appointed by the virtue of authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Odessa, Texas, do hereby proclaim April 11th through the 17th as 2021 National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. So throughout the Odessa, I urge all citizens to extend their appreciation for all their dedication and commitment to our citizens. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
The floor is yours, take as long as you want.
Okay. I don't speak as long as my husband does, so he's a minister. So I just want to say thank you for, on behalf of the dispatchers. We're having fun this week as we celebrate what they do. We try to do that throughout the year, but this particular week we really focus on all the work they do, and we try to implement fun into it. We have different themes for each day. And if you guys ever want a tour of Dispatch Center, I welcome it. And we're at the Plaza Building. And city council members, I invite you guys to come at any time. You know, we always like to show off our fancy equipment and just to hear what we do on a daily basis, saving lives and just being the team with OFR and OPD. And just want to say thank you.
Now, I'm going to read this little disclaimer. Any member of the public may address the city council regarding any of its agenda items before, during the consideration of this item. Item 4 is the council review the consent agenda. And then anybody wants to make a motion in a second? Move approval. I have a motion by Councilman Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
I have a second by Councilman Willis. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed by nay. Motion passes. We're going to move on to item 5, under council action, public hearing. Item 1, open public hearing and consider resolution to approve land use assumptions and impact fee capital improvement plan. Mr. Kirk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have for your consideration this evening land use assumptions and capital improvements plan that was developed for the impact fee study and for your consideration of your approval. We have Kimberly Horn and Associates who have been developing this plan for us, and so I will introduce John Atkins and Jeff Whitaker to make that presentation for you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Jeff Whitaker with Kimberly Horn, and I'm going to give the presentation for the land use assumptions and impact fee capital improvements plan. It'll be a very similar presentation to what you saw in your work session, but second time to see it, and also for the public that hasn't seen it the first time, will be able to see it. So today we're going to go over the land use assumptions, the capital improvements plan, and then the future schedule. The impact fee statute divides up the impact fee really into 3 components. The land use assumptions is one of the components you're looking at tonight. The second component is the capital improvements plan, which we're reviewing tonight. The third component, which we're not reviewing tonight, is the actual results of the impact fee study, the actual calculations of what those fees would be. So the process, I mentioned there's three components, but there's really a 4-step process to the impact fee. There's a planning step, which is really what we're covering tonight. This is the land use assumptions and capital improvements plan. There's an analysis step, which is when we calculate the fee. Then the next is the policy step, which is really establishing the actual impact fee amount. And then there's an adoption step. So we're covering that first step today, but I also want to apply a line out that we're working with our capital improvements advisory committee, who's advising us. And we have done the analysis steps. We're here in that process with them. Kind of in the middle, but with council right now, we're in the first step of that process. So just a little recap of what impact fees are. Take a step back a little bit about municipal funding for infrastructure. There's a variety of sources for funding for infrastructure. Impact fees are just a tool in that bucket of toolboxes for infrastructure. It's not necessarily meant to fund your whole infrastructure. It's actually specifically designed to only fund infrastructure necessitated by growth. So that's a key component to remember, is that impact fees are calculating what the cost is to serve growth. It's a one-time fee for future development. It's important to know that that fee is paid at building permit. So that means it's paid when the actual transportation or water or wastewater needs hit the system. In the case of water and wastewater, it's pulled up the water tap. It's really to recover those costs associated with serving new development. Chapter 395 is our rule book, so a lot of these land use assumptions and capital improvements plan are based upon that rule book. There's 4 impact fees that are allowed by state statute: roadway, water, wastewater, and drainage. The city of Odessa is only pursuing roadway, water, and wastewater at this time. Most cities don't have drainage because most sites retain on site. They retain their water on site, so it's not an impact to the system. They're trying to have a negligible impact to the system. So we're looking at roadway, water, and wastewater. What's important is what can be paid with impact fees and what cannot be paid with impact fees. The simplest way I think of this is if you're adding capacity for new growth, that's what's going to be paid by impact fees. So something like adding a lane to a roadway, increasing the water line size. You can also pay for the debt service on those improvements. Roadway infrastructure, water and wastewater infrastructure costs a lot of money, so a lot of times you fund that with debt. You can pay off that debt service with it. You can also pay off right-of-way acquisition, engineering design fees, whatever cost it takes you to deliver that project. What you cannot use to pay for is projects not in the impact fee CIP. So we're showing you that CIP tonight. If it's not in that CIP, it's not going to be eligible for funding. You can't remedy existing deficiencies. You can't repair potholes. You can't fix water line baits. It has to be new capacity, not maintenance and upgrades. And when the fee's adopted, you can't pay city staff with this dollar amount. It has to go towards the infrastructure projects that are associated with it. So the first step is the land use assumptions. We're going to go a little bit back in time to the origin. In 2016, Odessa completed a comprehensive plan, which served as the foundation for the land use assumptions that we used in 2019 for the water, wastewater, and transportation master plan. The components of a land use is really looking at the land use assumptions, tenure growth, and impact fee service areas. Those are really big things to remember. Tenure growth, we start talking about land use. Our crystal ball, we're looking at the next 10 years. And then service areas, which I'll touch on in a minute. So the existing land use is outlined here. There's an inventory of what all the land use is out there. We're really focused on residential, commercial, and industrial. That's really the kind of categories we're thinking about when we're looking at land use. If you look at your comp plan from 2016, this was the comp plan this was the land use was shown in the comp plan. But as we were doing those infrastructure master plans in 2019, we took that comp plan a little bit farther out because your water and wastewater master plans in specific looked a little broader than your actual comp plan looked at. So we translated that land use from 2016 Envision Odessa to an ultimate land use plan. And the land use plan was actually used in the infrastructure master plans. So the land use projections that were shown in this impacting study was actually used to build our water and wastewater master plans. Ultimately, we broke down the land use by the different activities in the land use plan. And I always like to point out when you look at the land use plan, it's kind of anecdotal. Residential makes up 52.6% of your land use plan. Non-residential's 34.2%, but the interesting fact I always point out is 13.2% is public right-of-way. So the city owns a lot of land just public rights-of-way. So when you look at the breakdown, this is kind of the breakdown. This is a pretty similar breakdown you see in a lot of communities and a lot of cities. So our 10-year growth assumptions. This is a quote from the Envision Odessa plan. It mentioned projections for Envision Odessa take a conservative approach for an estimated 1% CAGR over the plan's 20-year period. So we were really guided by that, but we took a little deeper dive and looked at when we were doing the water and wastewater master plan, we recognized that not all of Odessa is going to grow at the same growth rate. So not all areas are going to grow at the same growth rate. So we had a section of kind of the downtown, more established area that was growing at about 0.5%, a section growing at 0.75%, one section that was 3%, and one section that was 4%. A little bit faster growth rates in the north, a little bit less growth rates in the south. And what does that combine out to check our math against the comp plan? What it said? That came out to about a 1.3% growth rate. So we're right where that comp plan was envisioning over the next 10 years. I mentioned service areas. These are really important in impact fees. The reason they're important is when you spend money, you have to collect money, you have to spend the money in that service area is collected. So for roadway, it's really limited to the city limits, and you have to limit the size of those service areas to 6 miles. Water, it's using the land use study area, or really where you're serving water throughout the greater Odessa area. And wastewater very similar. So to show those graphically, skip a slide. Roadway, here are the 3 service areas that we're proposing for the city of Odessa. Service area 1 in the north, 2 to the south, and 3 to the east. Water, where you serve water in the city of Odessa, basically any study, and wastewater is very similar. And I always flip these back and forth because you can see they're a little bit different. There's a few areas that you don't serve wastewater to, so they're not included in the study area. Moving on to the impact fees capital improvement plan. These are based on your water and wastewater master plan. One thing I like to point out is the water and wastewater master plan focuses on system improvements. So that's really important. When we're looking at an impact fee study, we're really looking at those regional system facilities. We're not looking at site facilities or local roads. This is focused on items that the city usually takes responsibility on to build to benefit the entire community. So there's 25 projects on the water impact fee CIP, and as I mentioned before, when we do the calculations, these projects will be broken down into three types of costs. There's usually an existing cost, a 10-year cost, and a future cost. We haven't broken that down yet, but the impact fee will only be eligible for the 10-year recoverable cost. Similarly for wastewater, 20 projects based on your wastewater master plan, and these projects are projected to serve the 10-year growth over the next 10 years. Roadway has three maps because it has three service areas, and each service area acts independently. Roadway has projects that are red that are new projects, blue that are widening projects. These are roads that are 2 lanes today that we're going to be maybe widening to 4 lanes. The city does allow you for some corridor studies, so we did include a corridor study, and we had intersection improvements as well. Intersection improvements are sometimes the best bang for your buck for increasing capacity, so it is definitely a capacity improvement project that we can include in the impact CIP. Similar to Service Area 2, Service Area 2 is kind of an area where there's less opportunity for capital improvement projects. There's a 1 new project, 3 widening projects, but there's a lot more intersections, and you're going back to the statement that sometimes intersections is a great way to improve your capacity plan. And then the east side has a lot of new projects. This is where we're experiencing quite a bit of growth. So a lot of these new projects are in anticipation of that growth, and it's got a handful of widening projects, similar philosophy as the other service areas. So with that, the schedule that we're looking at is we did an impact fee 101 on March 2nd. We had the council public hearing to set this public hearing back on March 9th. We gave a workshop similar presentation on April 6th. That brings us to April 13th. The rest of the schedule is tentative dates, but in 2 weeks we're contemplating on setting that next public hearing. If you recall, state law, you have to set the public hearing a minimum 30 days in advance of the public hearing. We'll have a council work session in June. Look to have that public hearing June 8th, and then probably June 22nd for adoption. One of the reasons from starting potentially tomorrow through the month of May is working with the advisory committee and the development community to understand what these rates should be. So we're continuing that conversation. We actually have a meeting with the CIC tomorrow scheduled to continue that discussion depending on the outcome of tonight. And with that, John and I are here to answer any questions, as well as attend the public hearing.
Does council, do you have any questions or comments? This is a public hearing. Nobody's filled out a card, but this is a public hearing. Do you be willing to comment on this? Can come up and do so. You have 3 minutes, and you can do by stating your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Council. John Landgraf, 521 North Texas. I am chair of the Impact Fee Committee, and it's been stated we're meeting ongoing about the impact fees. We respectfully request that you go ahead and adopt the land use study and the capital improvements that are required. Those are items that really just came out of studies that the City Council commissioned several in 2019. So those are very important for us to understand. We really want to have the development community meet as an entire group, all of the stakeholders, property owners, developers, national, local, everybody involved, and be sure and get their input. We've been hearing from different people, many different opinions. Many people have experienced impact fees in other communities, and we want to get other community impact fees experience in part of our decision making. So I don't think what you could adopt tonight will slow down our process, but we want to set up public input. So be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions or comments to Mr. Langren?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Chris Berry with Beatonville Homes, 7207 91st Street in Lubbock, Texas. Appreciate y'all giving us the opportunity to speak tonight in the public hearing and part of my tardiness to the impact fee conversation. I appreciate the SEAC and John reaching out to the development community. I've had the experience to work with Midland a little bit on their impact fee study. I've been very involved with the city of Lubbock and their impact study. Been on the comprehensive plan advisory committee, involved with their SEAC and all the city staff. So I have a little bit of experience from their point of view. I love to sit down with SEAC and share what went well, what didn't. There's a lot of good things that impact fees can do as far as accountability from the developers and the public to the city with regards to funds and major capital improvement projects. So there's a lot of aspects that can be beneficial. Given this time with COVID, lumber prices, I would urge the SEAC committee and council to maybe look at some creative strategies on maybe not initiating the maximum impact fee if the impact fee study does go through. I know Lubbock and Midland both have issued a 25% credit for single-family residential. I think Midland kind of spread that, or excuse me, Lubbock spread that across some of the commercial as well, because they were heavily impacted on how they set up their impact fee structure. And that's something that I'll bring to the Zoom meeting tomorrow with the SEAC and that group, and look forward to further discussion. But just wanted to introduce myself. I'm really excited to kind of talk about this. I know there's a lot of things that will help the city of Odessa grow. And as one of the bigger developers and home builders, we're invested in the city as much as you guys have invested in us, and we look forward to partnering with you all and figuring out how we can get this done where it benefits both parties. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wanting to come up and speak on this topic? Seeing that no one else has come, I'm going to close the open hearing portion of it. Once again, I'll ask council, anybody have any last comments or questions?
No, sir.
Then I will entertain a motion to approve a resolution to approve the land use assumptions and impact fee capital improvement plan associated with the possible future of adoption of the impact fee. So I have a motion.
I'll motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Swanner. I have a second.
A second.
I have a second one by Councilman Mata. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those against indicate by saying nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. We're now going to move on to item 2, consider establishing speed limits, reduced speed school zones, and prohibited parking zones. First approval.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item covers several traffic-related ordinances. The first set deals with speed limits. The first one is Yukon Road. The proposal is to set the speed limit at 40 miles an hour for Yukon Road east of Faudree. The next one is for Mission Boulevard between Dorado and State Highway 191. That again is to set the speed limit at 40 miles an hour. And the last one dealing with speed limits is, this is Faudree Road between 191 up to Yukon. The proposal is to reduce the existing speed limit from 55 down to 45 miles an hour. The next ordinance has to do with school zones. This is Hayes Steam Academy on Monahans. This school does not have a reduced speed zone. So the proposal is to install one in front of the school, and the way the school zones work is ECISD purchases the equipment, city installs and maintains it. The next set of traffic ordinances relates to prohibited parking zones. This first one is for West County Road. This section of West County Road, west of Andrews Highway, this section is in the city limits. This request came to me from TxDOT. They don't have the enforcement or ordinance procedures in place to establish parking zones, so they rely on the city of Odessa to establish it and enforce it. So this is in the city. This next section is Yukon Road, and the original request came to me that section of residential streets south of the airport. There were trucks parking along Yukon Road, which was inhibiting sight distance. We were pulling out of those side streets trying to get on Yukon. I expanded it. I looked at the entire corridor. So the entire corridor, either if it's residential, businesses, they all have either side street parking or off-street parking. So I went ahead and expanded it to all of Yukon Road, to both sides of prohibited parking. And this last one is again on Faudree between 191 up to Yukon. This is a section that we are currently under design to widen it from the existing 2-lane roadway up to a 5-lane roadway with curb and gutter. Once those roadway improvements are done, there won't be any room for on-street parking. So I'm wanting to get this in the ordinance at this time before we build the street. The last thing is I've taken these items for review and approval by the Traffic Advisory Committee. We met back on March 24th to discuss all these items. So if you have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Hal?
Mr. Philbin, the speed limit on that school zone in front of Hayes is going to be 20 miles per hour?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then the Yukon, the prohibited parking on Yukon, is that from Andrews Highway to Grandview or on into?
It'll actually be this whole section of Yukon, which is basically from West County Road, and it'll eventually go to State 191. That whole section is what I'm proposing.
Okay.
And it's all in the city limits.
Another question about Yukon. You're saying east of Faudree, the speed limit is going to be 40?
Correct.
Going east?
Yes.
Why wouldn't we go ahead and establish a school zone? There's a new school going in there, even though it's a charter school. I mean, looks like to me the building's up. It looks like we'd be smart to go ahead and establish a school zone there as well.
Usually what I target school zones at is where areas where the school children are crossing the street. So right now, there's no student crossing activity for Yukon. We can certainly look at the areas south of the school, but yeah, I'm not forecasting right now to have a school zone on Yukon.
So you're just gonna wait until they create their own path, if that happens.
And see where the students are coming from. Yes, sir.
The roadway's 4 lanes divided, so I see. My fear is the kids and parents are coming because that Yukon's going to go all the way to 191.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So you're going to have people coming and parking on the other side. In my opinion, you're going to have people coming the other way from the southeast, if you will, and kids crossing both lanes of traffic to go to the other side for pickup. I mean, I just.
Good. That's a good point, sir. That's a good point, but from what I've seen, the preliminary layouts of the school, the way they're proposing to have the parents drop off kids is all internal on the school property. So
that's the way Compass was supposed to be too.
Exactly.
It didn't work out that way. It's an absolute disaster. I'm just trying, no sense, creating a disaster we don't have one, and I'd like to, get ahead of the curve on that. And we know the school's coming up, and it's going to be, I guess, opens next fall, I guess. I'm not positive about that, but it's coming sooner than later. So I don't have to wait till the last minute to provide school zones. I think it needs to be looked at now, personally, since we're doing all these changes anyway.
We can certainly look at it.
Wouldn't that be something also that school would also be, I mean, you would work with them, that they would understand their responsibility to pay for the devices?
And that's what we've done in the past is public schools will work with the school district, private schools will work with private schools to work out that same deal where they buy equipment. Yeah.
So more than likely, even if this goes into play right now, this summer, you know, the school should have a good idea of what their need is going to be. Do you think?
And where their student population is coming from.
Correct. Yeah.
Anybody have any more?
Just a concern.
Okay, not a problem. Anybody have any more questions or comments? Thank you, Alan. So okay, we'll consider a motion to establish speed limits and reduce speeds in school zones and prohibit parking zones. So I have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Willis and a second by Councilman White. All in favor indicated by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed indicated by saying nay. Motion passes. Okay, we're going to go on to item 3, resolution. Considering the incentive offer for future economic development agreement between the Odessa Development Corporation and the Cerro Project Watson. Mr. Burnett.
Mayor, members of council, thank you this evening for allowing us to have this meeting and discuss this project.
Everything okay? Trying to get the lights back up.
Oh, I was afraid I was.
Thank you.
They were trying to keep the reflection off. Thanks again for the opportunity tonight to visit with you. Just a real brief second about the Cerro project. I think you've all met with the company a couple of weeks ago. I think you'd agree it's a very exciting prospect for us. The Odessa Development Corporation took this up last week at their meeting. And subject to an application and the due diligence that we always do on these projects, we recommended to the Odessa Development Corporation an incentive package that I hope you've had a chance to look at. It's a 10-year agreement for $20 million divided over 10 years, 2 million years, subject to very specific performance measures and benchmarks for capital investment and job creation. So that's a very general description of the project. I didn't want to go into a lot of details that you probably already know, but the compliance committee did review this. The company has obviously been in discussions with us for over a year, so we've been working on this for quite a long time. I do have a company representative here with me tonight, so fully support this package offer, and it's an offer in order to hopefully facilitate their site location decision for Odessa and their county. So I would be happy to answer any questions on this. I know that there's no agreement here tonight because the terms of the agreement will be negotiated through their employment schedules and their capital investment schedules, and we'll come back before you for formal approval of the terms. So.
The council have any questions or comments? The Watson representative here, would like for him to make comments or you have any questions? Now it's time to do it. Thank you, Mr. Burnett.
Thank you. We're going to have a motion. I guess. Good.
Very
good. Trying to run your meeting. I'm sorry. You're right. Overstep my bounds, sir. Call me later.
Everybody wants this job. Hey, you know what? Go for it. Mr. Burnett, with your permission, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second. I have a motion by Councilman White. I have a second by Councilman Thompson. To consider an incentive offer for future economic development agreement between the Odessa Development Corporation and the Cerro Project Watson. All those in favor indicating by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed indicating by saying aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And Representative Watson, thank you for being here. Thank you very much for considering Odessa.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I may, just take a moment of personal privilege. I'd just like to thank the ODC and the Compliance Committee and everybody from Wesley for their hard work for the last year. I've lived here my whole life, as you and a lot of us have, and it's the most exciting thing that I've seen come down the pike in quite some time, and they're to be commended, and we certainly welcome the new facility, and I'm sure we can get things worked out. It's a very exciting time for Odessa, so applaud the ODC and Wesley Burnett and the gang, so.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilman Thompson. That's very, very nice. We're going to move on to item 4, consider an addendum to the second amended economic development agreement between the Odessa Development Corporation, Permian Basin Food Bank. Mr. Tim Edgeworth. Okay.
I think I talked too much, obviously.
Never.
No,
This is a project that we'd already funded, and for a freezer, I think Mr. Stoker here, he can give you the details on that. They came under budget, and they needed some other things that qualify for the ODC money. I think it's in your packet that it's listed. And so we voted at ODC meeting, and we're bringing it to you for y'all's approval, and just make sure everyone's up to speed and aware of what's going on.
Anybody have any comments or questions? I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll consider a motion. And well, that's not our. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and listen to Councilman Thompson. I have a motion by Councilman Thompson.
I like these things under budget. This is two things, two meetings have been under budget.
Right.
I like these under budget.
I understand. So I have a motion by Councilman Thompson, second by Councilman White. All in favor indicating by saying aye. Aye. All those opposing indicating by saying aye. Motion passes. That was easy. We are now back to item 5, consider approval of professional service agreement with Newton Engineering, PC for design of Dixie Boulevard reconstruction.
Good evening again. This agenda item is for a professional services agreement with Newton Engineering. It's for the design of the Dixie Boulevard reconstruction project. And what section we're talking about for Dixie Boulevard here is from 46th Street up to the north city limits. And what we're looking at doing is reconstructing the existing pavement, installing ADA ramps where necessary, reconstructing the intersection of 52nd Street. And we're looking at if we can take the existing inverted section of Dixie Boulevard and changing it to a crown section. What we're trying to do is get this design done in a couple months, so that we can get the construction in this fiscal year. The funds for this design work will be coming out of the street maintenance work, and this contract amount is $59,250.
Let me ask you a question now. When you're talking about the crown, did we, if I remember right, we were just talking that portion that's inverted south of 52nd?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that inverted section, it goes from about south of the intersection of 52nd down, and it changes right there around 46. That few blocks there.
Does anybody have any questions?
So the north boundary would be Yukon Road, right? You're saying north boundary of the city.
Actually, the north city limits for Dixie is just the alley north of 46th Street. It doesn't go, the city doesn't go all the way to Yukon. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Some of that, there's no curb and gutter, right?
All the city is, when you go north in the county.
Yes.
Yep.
You said 46. Yeah, it's 56th, right?
I'm sorry, 56. The alley north of 56, not 46. That's where we're starting. Yes.
I think everybody was under the impression you're going all the way to Yukon.
I was just seeing if you're listening.
We're paying attention. We're still awake.
So that's county, I'm sorry, so that's county road beyond 56th.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty bad all the way up to Yukon, I'm just saying, it's not good all the way.
That's another enemy's problem, not ours.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, yes, sir. So do we have any more questions or comments? Thank
How
you.
long will the project take? Do you have any clue how long the project will take?
Construction-wise, we're probably looking 12 to 18 months.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
But
It's a highly traveled road, it's gonna be a mess.
especially the intersection of 52nd. So we'll see.
Because I think 52nd, this is my personal observation, 52nd gets a lot of 42nd traffic, people quit traveling 42nd Street, jump over, at least I can get from 52nd.
It's the shortcut.
The other areas highway a whole lot faster.
People,
Yes, sir.
People adjust. I mean, if there's any if there's anything that we ever, as you know, locals, both city, county, and state, if we ever came together in sync, and one thing was making it difficult for people to travel east to west, west to east, north to south, and everything was being constructed. And so I think this will be mine compared to that. So I'll consider a motion and a second.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Swan. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilman White to consider approval of the professional service agreement for the Newton Engineering. All in favor indicating by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed indicating by saying aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Alan. Oh, you're up again. Item 6, consider approval of the professional service agreement with Kimberly Horn and Associates Incorporated for the design of the linear detention ponds on Fodger Road.
So this agenda item is for, as you say, a professional services agreement with Kimberly Horn for the design of linear detention ponds for Fodger Road. This design project will develop an excavation plan with a parks overlay for the city-owned property north of Yukon Road. As we've been finding out, the drainage component of this Fodger Road design has become a much more major design element of this project. Kimberly Horn is well versed with the drainage watershed in this project. Also, there is a contractor working on the TxDOT overpass, the new overpass at East Loop and Yukon that has approached the city that is needing this dirt fill material for their project. The cost for this design work is $321,000. This has the potential of saving $2 to $4 million in the Fodger Road construction project, which the city will be undertaking later this summer. Funds are available for this design project in the Fodger Road design project, which is using the 2019 certificates of obligation. And again, I'm here if I can answer questions.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Hal?
I did go out there and look at that this morning, and we went out and looked at that. I was concerned because that drainage ultimately in that scheme of things goes across, is it P? I can't remember the name of the street.
P-Bar Ranch.
There's not a culvert there. It actually flows across the road, but there was some forward thinking there. That street is concrete there, which I did not realize. Also, I want to just make sure that the people that are taking the dirt to build, we've got somebody willing to take the dirt and make those ponds. Let's make sure we get them shaped like we want, because, we have a big sign sitting up there that says this is for, future city park use. So I want to make sure we get them scraped like we want them scraped, and no sense doing it twice. And they've got to go in there and get that dirt and do it. So I just want to make sure that that's really clear with everybody, because I think that park system thing is just kind of on my brain. So this is a great opportunity for the city, I think.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any more comments or questions? Okay, Hal, I appreciate it. I'll consider a motion and a second for the approval of professional services.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Mata, second by Councilman Willis. All those in favor indicating by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed indicating by saying aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Al. Item 7 is consider authorizing the conveyance of lots 2 to 12, lot 1, and lot 2, Blackshear Stadium Edition.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. This agenda item would approve the conveyance of city-owned property at Avenida de Mexico and Fitch to the Odessa Housing Finance Corporation for the construction of 33 workforce unit units within South Odessa. This was a project that was approved by the City Council a year and a half ago to provide this workforce housing. The city's portion of the project was to bring in the water and sewer infrastructure and also to construct the road. The water and sewer utility has been placed in to this subdivision, and the road has been roughed in. There is additional work that's needing to take place to add additional fill to allow the franchise utilities such as cable, gas, and phone to come in. And so at this point, we have had conversations with the Housing Finance Corporation, and they are going to continue the construction of the lots and the property. So it is the staff's recommendation that we go ahead and convey the property to OHFC so they can continue the construction process. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments? Council? Thank you, sir. I'll consider a motion and a second.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman White. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Councilman Swanner to consider the authorizing of the conveyance of lot 2 through 12, Block 1 and Block 2 of Blackshear Stadium addition. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed indicate by saying nay. Motion passes. Now we're moving on to the miscellaneous portion of it, and I have nothing to add. I'm sure nobody else does at this point. And so we're going to go ahead and move on to item 9, appointment of the boards. City Secretary Grimaldo. All right. So we're going to move on to item 10, citizens' comments on non-agenda items. City Secretary Grimaldo, do we have anyone that's wanting to approach the council and talk about or address council non-agenda items? Thank you very much. We're going to go on to item 11, to recess to executive session, as authorized by the Texas Government Code Section 551.071. To consult with the attorney, the city council may adjourn into the executive session to consider pending and contemplated litigation. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Thompson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilman Merritt, need to look up. I have a motion and a second, as authorized by the Texas Government Code Section 551.071. So with the attorney, the city council may adjourn into the executive session to consider pending and contemplated litigation to convene and, I'm sorry, I don't need to read that part. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. We are going into executive session and we'll be back.
no popping lips.
I had so many ideas when I started.
Boy,
The fan.
it did not take long. You started in October 31st, November 31st. You brought it. It wasn't like this to you. Honestly, I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Actually, the chief put a curse on me because I turned down his daughter.
That's right, you were scared of it, yes. Maybe that position is just cursed.
Marcus, don't you want to get out of the table? Been around long enough. Did you go for his cleaning contracts up?
They left, but
The ones that we tried to get paid, but he's
She was,
counter offered her.
she was interviewing.
Dana just left, but he's got to get started.
Where did you go? Sorry.
He's got like some, kind of promotion.
Yeah. He was flying a drone the other day.
He's 50-50.
So what is he still at the station?
No, he left like
I think he's
30
at the oil
weeks
field
ago.
company, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's oil field or something. Because he asked me if I could shoot something for him. I was like, yeah, you want that
All these virtual things, you wouldn't have a problem hiring someone, but now every company needs to have their own.
Well done, yes. I get it.
Who else is not saying?
She was up here anyway. So is Danny. But I don't know anybody at the other station either. I don't really see anyone.
Right, I think maybe.
It really is making it better. It'll look he works for the Texas Water Quality System.
You hear about her class? Sending out the notice again? Yeah. Cold front stalled over somewhere in Texas and people are using that.
Yeah, Amarillo.
It's not even that cold.
Those times not
Hellstorm.
Yeah. I thought it was a joke. But they sent it like an hour and a half ago. Cold. Like,
Yeah, I know, I saw it. Maybe it was,
You
it
got
was
a kid.
seminal. Crazy weather.
You know, you can see those guys are on the board before all this happened. Hey, I'm they don't tell anybody. They don't tell anybody on that.
You don't like something to keep on recorder.
Yeah. What? Doesn't matter what political party you belong to, nobody.
Under that freeze? No. Didn't know that.
It doesn't matter.
I'm glad it was only a week.
It seems like a year ago we had that. And it was
2 months ago.
was like a month and a half ago. I know, but it feels like so much has happened. We hit 93.
We're back in 50.
The sandstorm.
Sandstorm.
We had a sandstorm. We did have a sandstorm.
They had that standoff.
I know.
Nobody was home and I called it before I got there.
That happened to us. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? And we were here and there.
It happens to everyone, chief.
No,
Every time we
that
go there,
happened to
it's
me and
like,
Marcos. Like, they sent us out and I was like, no, we're in the house.
So I picked it from that house and I said, hey, you guys get hung up over there, you know, call. We do that.
Yeah.
You don't want about team out with like 4 hours at a time because they start to do their skills in the ring. They're like, yeah, don't worry about it. We're not gonna get you. He got out.
there was a dust storm coming in. I was like, yeah, the report to stay outside and get in the car. They'd already cleared the area.
So don't need to be like break-ins, we didn't need to be like break-ins.
We did it. It just guys are there, so we'll get the info. Don't have to go anywhere. It's interesting.
It's just, that's one of those exciting stuff. And it would be kind of twisted.
I went on the east side with it. Neighbor, shot the other neighbor. They were sleeping with his wife. They didn't come.
Here?
Yeah, like Quadri and East Ridges.
Yesterday?
That was just like 2-3 years ago. Cause like the movie video.
I told Steve really like that.
I like colors on YouTube.
Yeah. I just told you.
My text to Steve or come outside.
You know why we don't tell anything? Because she sees our number and she goes,
I
"Get more."
It's not safe.
Scary. And then I'll call Steve and say, I know, like 15 missed calls from Jason. They're making a big deal out of it. I don't care. Just call back.
We're gonna start using phone calls.
I'm about to leave.
Why? It was just not necessarily for you.
Well, they were wanting the, and I told them there was nothing, but I told them not to do that. Maybe look over all the stuff, but most of the time it's like, go on Facebook.
Tell them to go.
You're in trouble.
Well, no, they don't read the agenda though, most of the time. They'll just be like, hey, can you go? And I'll go and I'll like see what they're looking for. But I read the agenda and I was like, this is nowhere on there. There's nothing here. That's why I'll call them and I was like, am I not finding this? Or, yeah.
And it's like it's live stream, you don't have to come on to it.
What's the website for the live stream?
Odessa-tx.gov. I send it out on my Friday roundup.
I'll like undelete it though if I need something on there. I don't delete it from my trash. It's,
You know, if you go to the website and then it's government city council, if you click on city council, it's right there.
Cause that last one I was here, I thought you guys were still doing it virtually, so I didn't know. Oh, it's
Council manager in person for session.
I did record on my laptop. Listen in occasionally. Gotta be sound better.
Say hi. He doesn't really pay attention to you. Not that you're not interesting. It's just.
I paid attention to the whole meeting.
I have my earbuds in, but I have an ambient sound on. sixth floor. What? Yeah. Actually, sixth floor booster actually, where they would project stuff, record everything. So there's old recorders up there. So if you go up the stairs, all of our mechanical stuff's up there, air conditioning, all that's up there. But yeah, well, I just put a black vinyl over the window because it's all wood paneling in there. It's nasty.
I legit never noticed that until
I like that.
right now.
I knew it was something for like video purposes.
I
So
never paid attention. I thought it was a decoration. Just a pretend window. Oh, thanks, Marcos.
You really never noticed it?
No,
Well, do you always sit on
never.
this side? Because I always go to that side.
I just
And
don't
I'll
look
notice.
up, I guess.
I
I
just love there's no pictures of anything.
I know, when are we gonna get grand shots? Is that an us thing?
No, Norman already got it. There's one up there. Steve's is up there. I don't know why his came in and the rest of them did that there.
No, we did not.
We got there a few days before.
We need this for the website.
Alright, I'm gonna look at my desk until they. I almost didn't come. Because I was like, it's not on the agenda.
Oh, and the other day when I saw you on the, all this.
Oh man, that dude can talk.
Yeah.
County commissioner. I had to interrupt him a few times over here. He just kept finishing his stuff.
You need help on the hashtag, maybe like.
And the
Oh, oh, we're still
I
like.
saw you leave.
Well, it was really 7:30, I had to go pick up Olivia.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm leaving.
I didn't leave there till like 8:30.
Yeah,
Is
because
he
they were
where?
still, well, the people on the doors are talking and they were talking
Most of the time.
forever. So I'm like, bye, I have a babysitter after 7:30.
That's good.
But you know, I saw that there's nobody there to need help, so.
Yeah. Daniel was there. You know.
Who?
Daniel.
Jen? Oh, okay. Is Scott not gonna be on this?
Yeah. What's that? I don't ask.
You should have recommended her for the county position.
I'm sure he's looking for a job.
Yeah. We should tell Jim Kirby to hire someone. As a joke, obviously.
Send him a photo. Hey, how's this guy?
I'm the perfect person for you.
He's a go-getter.
He's got a great eye for detail.
Are they just looking for someone to like shoot and edit stuff? And,
I don't.
cause I'll ask around for.
Yeah, no, I think they're looking for more, yeah, maybe something.
Some marketing like.
More social media and, yeah.
Public relations.
Social media. Richard.
Oh, who sent those, alerts? They're like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, I get alerts.
I'd seen stuff get cold, but never seen cactus die, but like this freeze, it was like.
It has to be bad for cactus to die. Because it's in anything. That one's trees are dead too.
Because we have a cactus in our backyard, I think. Fell over. Easier to clean up. Let them out. So.
We do have a big tree in front of my house, I'm sure that's dead. Because it was starting to boil, and then it froze. And it was like, oh, no. Never mind. I know, I was like, stupid tree, why did you start blooming?
You got your hooked up.
Yes. Really? No, because we were there. We have to. Oh, that's not gonna hurry.
Remember that thing we talked about, needing someone for social? Richard
Yeah.
asked me if,
No, sorry, I thought you were running and you didn't know.
I can. But, he asked me, he's like, hey, I need someone to shoot video for UTV for football.
Do they not have,
They have like photographers, but no one to shoot
they don't have
video.
aid? Didn't that say
They
aid?
do, but like, even I thought, but like, you were telling me that you guys didn't have time to shoot that stuff? I don't know. But he asked me, he's like, give me a price per game, like this video, and he's like, yeah.
3,000.
I was like, oh my God, I was like, this 150. And he was like, can you cut some videos? I was like, nope. I was like, you want me to shoot it? Yeah. I was like, okay. Okay. I'd like some extra cash, but I don't need it.
I already told him 3,000 to shoot and edit 2 games. Just see.
Because he was like, he's telling, he even told me, he's like, before you make me an offer, he was like, just try not to take it too early. Football.
But then, like, I would not take it too hard on
I don't know, he never did me. When I worked with him, I was in production. He was in news, so he didn't mess didn't even want it. I never applied.
I don't know if you ever met me before.
Yeah.
Like, he would never let me in my room. So he's like,
So
okay,
it's,
too bad, this is what's going on.
but yeah, that's probably like, 'cause they make him the chief, and I was like, I can't work for someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Like, it's cool if they like admit it, but I think campus was just gonna be like, then like 2 minutes goes by and I start hearing like a pack of them, but like in the distance.
But they
So like I have time, and then like as I'm taking another photo, I was like I start hearing them get closer, and I'm in the parking lot, so I'm like pretty much every. But then they started getting closer, and then they got quiet. So I was like, yeah, get back in the car. It's like, no, I'm doing anything. Just me.
would they attack you?
I don't know.
Like a human?
It had to be pretty like I think
Rabid?
desperate or hungry to do something.
I know they would attack us all.
But as soon as I turned like my light on, like they shut up there too. So I was like, yeah, they're pretty close. They could do that. But it was dark. So then I left, and then I was taking the road that goes back to Kansas to hop on the interstate to get on. And so I pull over, oh, that's not good, feels good. Like set up a camera, take a photo, and all of a sudden I start hearing stuff in the bushes across the street. And I was like, okay, I'll go over there. So I turned the light on, and that's it. And then I just hear, I was like, okay, cool, it's cat. Yeah, I was like, this is cute. But it was dark at night. Like someone legit could be right next to you, you couldn't even tell it was like that dark out. It looked pretty. It looked scary.
I have a little black dog. She lives with my mom now. But I got her when I moved out in my other life. And she escaped one night. And there's nothing out there, obviously. And so
Crazy.
she's black, like completely black. And so I was like, oh my god, she's gonna get eaten. Like they're gonna get eaten throughout the coyotes.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. I just like came into the fact that she was dead and everything. And
She went back to the coyote.
yeah, she's a Shih Tzu, so she's like this big. She just was like, it's okay, it's okay. She really loved it.
I have a friend was out in garden. Yep. And his cat will like sleep on their roof of the porch or their car or their garage, just to stay away from the animals at night. She's pretty smart.
That is fun. That is so good.
It's not a bad pick, it's just the cat. There's no kid. If that wasn't in it.
Yeah, that would be pretty exhausted. But then the light would.
You still can do it.
That's just favorite part. He was posting his front page today.
Okay.
He wants the baby.
Oh, is it?
That's fun. Something we like to do. One of us is always like to work. I thought he was the brightest of the few. And I told him a few moments ago, like, hey, just come to your office. And I was like, great, you need to keep it. I went to the office. It was like a relatively easy meeting.
It was. Pretty cool.
But
It was funny about this intersection. There was an accident. We had like an accident right foot. Some dude got hit. And all I know is the sheriff was there. The sheriff.
I love Korean, yeah.
He was there. Like the dude hit his head, so there was blood, and they were cleaning it off. And Sherry's like, let's go this way. I can't bring that stuff in. A good point, Sherry. Never thought about it.
Do you remember Elena here with us?
Yeah.
With the, yes.
She was like showing us where her guns were just in case something happens.
Yeah, yes.
That's a cool thing.
And I remember Brent was filming something, I guess, it was when they were taking the bridges. Like, well, they still
They
did
still
it
do,
with
they did it
us,
last week.
It was the beginning when they were starting to hit them all the time. And she took us out there on I-20
before I got to the meeting.
Me too. Anybody want anything?
She the one that sent me one earlier? Because I always see that bowl of candy.
It doesn't matter.
Hey.
Be careful.
How you
Don't
doing?
work too hard.
Not to.
Bye.
People change it. You doing good?
Yeah. Been asleep, but yeah. Good.
Yeah, I bet. I wanted to put my story, I forgot too, but they had, during the retreat, they were talking about how hard you and Devin work.
Oh, I did. Well, that's what we do.
And how you guys have so much to do and,
Yeah. A lot of the departments.
I didn't want some people to get a big head, you know.
Right. Who?
No, I said they were complimenting you guys at the retreat
Oh, were they?
for all the work you do, and they're like, you guys do such a great job for the city, but you just have so much work to do.
We do have a lot of work to
They
do.
said, you know, there's things we'd like them to do, but we just don't have time.
And you know, I mean, it takes, some of the videos, I mean, they take time. It's not like.
I was gonna put it in the story, and I just forgot.
Thanks.
See, well, it wasn't anything bad, it was just a business story.
That's why I forgot.
I remember that night after the paper had already gone out, I said, oh.
Oh, they said something nice about Devin and Magali. Yeah, no, it is a lot, like, there are things that we, like, I was telling Chief Ricky, I came with like a plan, and I was like, I wanna do this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and we'll start this, like, video segment. And then once I started, like, 2 weeks after I started, they had the shooting, or we had the shooting. And then
Oh,
it was
that's right.
just a mess ever
I can't imagine that.
since. So, still working on those plans. Eventually, we'll get there. Just not as quick as I told them we would. So, we're doing a lot more though,
Yeah.
like more fun things that aren't
Yeah, like the cool ones.
Mm-hmm.
that aren't COVID related, because it was just
Oh,
like
yeah.
COVID.
Gosh, when COVID was so hard, right, too.
So depressing. I mean, for obvious reasons, it's a depressing time, but then like the videos, we would try to do like serious ones,
Mm-hmm.
funny ones, like
Right.
just
We're trying to mix it up, sure.
how are we gonna get people's attention? And every day it was just wear a mask, wear a mask.
And then we come out with something and then he changes. I remember like, it was for stay home, then it was wear a mask and
Wash your hands,
Yeah.
social distance. It was crazy.
I know it's not true, I think probably just because I'm aware of it now, it's more noticeable. But I think it's weird sometimes now that you don't have to wear the masks. More people are wearing masks.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I see a lot of people wearing masks, and I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. They're doing what they should do. Like,
It was just like, somebody was telling them to have to, so.
they were fighting,
yeah.
It's just the idea of, don't tell me what to do.
I get it. They still do the press conferences?
Every 2 weeks now.
Every 2 weeks, wow.
I don't have to do them anymore because they're at the same time as the work session.
Yeah. Well, good for you.
I think they'll probably discontinue them pretty soon.
Yeah, did Midland quit in theirs?
I thought they were doing one
sudden it gets cold as hell.
Yeah. Welcome. Because then it's gonna be really, really, really hot.
That's the part I do miss about Florida. It was always knew, yeah, it was always gonna be warm. I mean, you know, Christmas Day it's like 88 degrees, you know.
That would be nice.
Just that damn humidity. And hurricanes. And alligators.
And crazy people.
And crazy people, oh my goodness. It was so eye-opening though, being on the island with all those billionaires. You know, the island that my office was on.
Oh, really?
And we covered the island. Usually we call it the island.
Where did you live?
I didn't live on the island. I lived across the bridge.
Was it West Palm Beach?
Yeah.
Like where Epstein was?
Yeah.
It's the only reason I really know
And
a
so,
lot about.
I mean, you really had to be a multi-billionaire. You had to be a multi-billionaire to afford to live on there.
Really?
The millionaires had to slum it over on the other side of us. So.
How about those girls that were living in those trailer parks? Well, yeah, that's what he's saying, on the other side of the bridge. They would go and find them on that side of the bridge and then bring them to the other side. To the island, I guess.
Yeah.
So they're still on the island? Yes. It was neat. Good though. Don't tell Sonia.
You did what?
I said, don't tell Sonia.
She won't care.
I know.
She ends up sitting there and are you
Don't say nothing bad. Not that I'm here for you.
this is gonna be fast. Yeah, you're gonna have to move Denise. She's under that air conditioning fan.
She's just a baby.
You got that? I'm comfy.
Do I have a motion second to reconvene into the general session?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so Samuel, we took no action in executive session. I'm gonna have a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion from Councilwoman Willis, second by Councilman Thompson. All those in favor to adjourn, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. We are adjourned.
You too. Talk to you soon.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you can see it over here. It's been for a while. Yeah, and here you can.
And I kept looking over. I kept saying,